A book blog will help you reach a large audience, and it's a great way to share awesome books, as well as create a community of like minded individuals who also love to read. Our speaker for this afternoon will share with us how to start our own book blog. Mr. Matt Calvin Dadivas is a guidance associate from the Ateneo de Manila University Senior High School, where he handles both grade 11 and grade 12 students. He graduated from the University of the East Manila as magna cum laude with a BS Psychology degree. Currently, he is studying his master's degree in education, major in guidance and counseling at the Ateneo de Manila University. Back in college, he was the former president and consistent student leader of the University of the East Psychological Society. He was also active in various extracurricular activities inside and outside the school. Together with his groupmates, their undergraduate thesis entitled Living Within a Broken Vow: The Impact of Parental Infidelity Among Late Adolescents in Establishing Romantic Relationships got accepted in a research conference in Singapore for oral presentation, and in Japan for both oral presentation and paper publication. As part of his professional development, he passed the board licensure examinations for psychometricians last August 2015. Being in the guidance and counseling field for almost 5 years, Mr. Dadivas is devoting his career life in the field of psychology. In the future, he plans to become a registered guidance counselor and psychologist and take up a doctorate degree in clinical psychology. Di ba ang haba? Bongga! Now let us all welcome our bookish counselor, Mr. Matt Calvin Dadivas.
Thank you, Miss Ali, for that wonderful introduction. So once again, everyone, good afternoon. And I am Sir Matt, one of your senior high school counselors in our school. So as I was checking the participants of this Google Meet, yung iba dito ay students ko and yung iba ay fresh faces for me. So I hope this would be a very fruitful discussion for us kasi for this afternoon, I won't be talking about mental health. I won't be discussing about our guidance modules. But for this afternoon, I will be presenting to you another side of me as a person. All right. So again, students, thank you for spending your time with us kahit after classes na. So I just hope na you will learn something from this webinar. Okay. So given this presentation title now, From Pages to Screen, Starting Your Own Book Blog. Before we start, I just want to have a perspective on what's the context of the group for this afternoon. Okay, so for the next slides, I will be asking questions and just answer in our chat box by using numbers. Okay, so we will now start. First question, are you a bookworm? So obviously, kaya kayo nandito kasi you are reading books, pero just want to know your background. Type 1 if yes, but a newbie. Type 2 yes if you are bookworm ever since. And type 3 not yet, I'm still thinking about it. So majority of your answers are number 2, very good. So I guess parang you are now wondering on being a bookworm for a long time and anong pwede mong gawin na ikaw ay reader na for a very long time. And some of you answered number 1, just like me. So like for myself, I just started being a bookworm a year ago. And may mga sumagot din sa inyo ng number 3. So I guess for those students who answered number 3, this would be a better opportunity for you to think about on venturing on other things. Okay, very good. Next, do you have a lot of books at home? 4 yes and 5 no. For me, I would answer a large number 4 yes. Kayo naman, do you have a lot of books at home? 4? 4? Yan. Yung ba sa inyo, merong physical and digital books? That's good. Alright, so majority of us here are number 4. We have a lot of books at home. Very good. And then last question, are you experiencing chundoku? So chundoku is Japanese term meaning the art of buying books and never reading them. In short, book hoarder. Okay? So for me, I would answer number 6. Fortunately, number 6 then. Yeah, so we are the same, big number 6, no? So just like for this quarantine, ang dami ko nabili, nakakainis. I am guilty na during this quarantine, I was able to buy a lot of books. 7, no? That's good then. Sige. So a lot of us here are bookworms ever since and starting pa lang. A lot of us here are, yung iba dito ay maraming books at home, but some are, little number of books only. But that's okay. So right now, with the overwhelming number of books that we have at home and the kind of books that we are reading, what can we do to make the most of the experience of being a bookworm? Okay, so for this session, I'm expecting that we would be able to identify a platform where we can share our knowledge to others. Kasi di ba, if you're going to have a blog, the number one thing that would really pop into your mind is to share knowledge to others. And I hope na we are on the same page. Now you are wanting to have a book blog of your own because you want to share your knowledge to others as a fellow bookworm. Okay? So, for this presentation, we'll be having three parts. Number one, the basics, things to consider in starting your book or your own book blog. So, what are the things that we need to think about before we venture into having our own book blog? What are the things that we need to consider on really trying to moving forward with our own book blog? So, we will talk about that later. Next, so after identifying the basics, you're now going to identify the process or the things that we can do to make your book blog visible. So after preparation, after thinking about things to start your book blog, what can you do naman to make your book blog visible and reaching to a lot of audience? And lastly, the challenges. What are the things that I myself experience on committing myself to having a book blog? So I will share to you some of the things that I have been experiencing until right now na parang for me, I'm still undergoing on having my own book blog. Okay? So I hope everyone excited and let us now start. For the basics, number one question would be, what is your reason for blogging? So is it to share a personal life? Is it to express yourself? Or is it to share your own insights? So since we are bookworms, obviously we read a lot of books. And with that, siguro, yeah, reading books is satisfying and reading books it can give us a sense of accomplishment. But what can we do with the things that we have learned from our characters upon reading? What can we do with the learning that we got upon reading books? What can we do to let other people know na we have this kind of books that can change their lives? So identify what is or are your reasons for starting your own blogs about books. So for myself, I started my own blog a year ago na din siya kasi parang I'm thinking na anong gagawin ko dito sa napakaraming libro na meron ako, di ba? So what can I do with the learning that I got upon reading books? And as a counselor by profession, syempre parang gusto ko din kasi to have my own advocacy din of mental health. So with that, parang I decided na, sige na nga, I will have my own blog kasi I want to reach a lot of people na upon reading books, we can relate that to mental health. And with that, we can identify ways to really identify what can we do to improve our mental health by reading. Okay, so for me, those are my reasons. So after identifying reason, syempre, what platform are we going to use to start your own book blog? So we have several platforms out there such as Facebook, Instagram, WordPress, Blogspot, Wix, Google Sites, meron din Weebly, and the most common is YouTube. For the sake of this presentation, I want us to start with a very basic lang muna. Kasi in my own experience, upon starting my own book blog, parang for me, I was quite overwhelmed with specifically for WordPress, okay? So as an example for WordPress, I had my own research and parang nakita ko na WordPress is a bit complicated for me in this stage, no? Na I'm just starting my own book blog. So with that, I tried also exploring to start it in Facebook, okay? So I started my blog in Facebook for a few months. Then napansin ko na parang I was not able to reach out to a lot of people in Facebook during my initial months of having my book blog. And then parang naisip ko na, what other platforms that I can use for my own book blog? YouTube, well, number one kasi sa YouTube, di ba, pwede kumita ng pera. Pero parang for me, I am not that yet confident of having my own vlog in YouTube. Kasi if you go in to search for it, we also have some booktubers, so-called booktubers in YouTube na they have their vlog for their books. So parang for me, I am not that ready yet for that kind of platform na I will record myself, I will talk to a camera, I'll record myself, and then I'll edit my video, then post it in YouTube. So, hindi ko pa nakikita yung sarili ko on that stage. So, ano yung naging final platform ko for myself? Upon my research, with those kinds of platforms na meron dyan, what for me was, or is the easiest one, what for me is the most applicable and most friendly to all kinds of users out there. So for this presentation, let us first focus on Instagram. Okay? So alam ko na lahat tayo almost all of us have our own Instagram accounts, pero syempre Instagram can also be used in other ways aside from having our own private account for Instagram. Okay? So we will focus on Instagram. To move forward, after identifying your platform, syempre, what would be your identity in your chosen platform? So identify your blog name, your username, or your domain name. So obviously, if you're going to think about your name in your chosen platform, for example, in our case now, Instagram, for example, what can be a good name for yourself? Na parang, if I would be an Instagram user, and then I would read your name, what would be the idea na, ito yung kind of user na makita ko upon reading his or her blog name in Instagram. Na upon going to this username, I would really get to have an initial idea na this is what would I be expecting upon visiting his or her account. Okay? So having your name should reflect your identity as a book blogger. So in Instagram, it is called Bookstagrammer. Okay, hashtag Bookstagrammer. Okay? So in my case, paano ako nag-come up sa pangalan ko sa Instagram and sa Facebook? So, syempre, two factors. Number one, I am a starting bookworm. And then number two, in my profession, I am a counselor. So, I thought of words. I played words, no? I played keywords. I even searched for words in the internet on what would be the most applicable name for myself. So, I searched for synonyms ng bookworm, ng bookish, ganyan. Synonyms ng counselor. What could be the best terms that I can use that can really reflect my identity as a bookstagrammer. So, adding the two factors, I came up with the bookish counselor PH. So, PH kasi I'm living in the Philippines, kaya may letters na PH. So, in that case, di ba, obviously, if we're going to read na the user is the bookish counselor PH, number one, the user is a bookworm, the account is about books, and the person's profession is in counseling with the term counselor. Okay, so in your case, what can you use to identify your identity in Instagram, for example? So let us try, everyone. So here is a sample step for you to identify your own username. So step one, what is your blog about? So all of us, common yan sa atin ngayon ay about books. Step two, what I did, what are some synonyms about the thing that you want to represent in your blog? So reading, ano pa ba? Siguro pages, flipping pages, chapters, ganyan. Then step three, add descriptive words that can really identify yourself as a bookstagrammer. Then step four, finally combine those words to identify if those words are applicable for you. So everyone, let us try. Think about your names at this moment and comment those in the chat box. I want to see your idea about creating your own identity with your own Instagram account as a bookworm. Sige. So spend around 2 to 3 minutes to think about your name and comment your names in the chat box. You can also use siguro the words that represent the genres of the book that you have. Okay? So based from your likes on reading books, what could be your name? Yeah, so I would just like to start presenting muna to check our comments. Alright, so si Ma'am Ali ay mysteriouslibrarian.com. Yeah, a good term. So, puro horror and mystery books yung ipopost ni Ma'am Ali. So, that's a very good book username for her. So, for the longest time, kay Miss Amber, my Sockmed handle was Amberarium because I like how it sounded like the name of a place or space. I don't think it was very effective. So, for me, no, it's very interesting na Ma'am Amber was able to use her own name and combined it with another term to represent herself in her blog. Okay, so good start naman yan, Miss Amber. Okay, how about for the others? For these students, do you already have your username? For example, okay, for Martin, initially, website name daw niya was Alex Writes Stuff because he didn't really know a title. But that's a good start, Martin. No? So siguro I hope with our webinar for this afternoon, we will be able to identify other ways to create your name. Kasi that's really one of the main challenges for us na, for me personally, parang I wasn't able to start immediately kasi I don't have any name. Parang for me, I don't want to have a kapareho sa internet. Kaya ang ginawa ko, I listed down the names that I am thinking about, then search ko sa Google kung mayroon akong kapareho. Kapag mayroon akong kapareho, X na siya. So I really want my username to really my own lang. Unfortunately, the name, the Bookish Counselor PH, eh wala pang gumagamit, kaya siya na yung ginamit ko. Okay? So it really take you time to reflect on your username. Basta important is it's really a representative of your identity as a bookstagrammer. Okay? So yeah, maganda rin yung kay Samantha na Sam yearns for adventure. So that's a very, very good start. So for Regina, stolen pages, yeah, very witty. That's very good. Sige. Alright, so I have given you already the basics. So number one, what are the reasons for blogging? Number two, what could be your platform? So in this case, I hope you will all start with Instagram kasi yun yung pinakamadali among the available platforms out there. And then number three, your name. Let's now proceed with the process. So syempre, since you want to be a bookstagrammer or a book blogger on Instagram, the number one thing that you should do is to post regularly. No? Post about bookish content, post about the books of you have read, or anything about yourself. So what did I do to start the process of posting in my own Instagram account as a book blogger? So first would be what kind of post or what kind of content to post in your account. So syempre, obviously, since you're a bookworm, medyo most obvious dyan, you would post about your reviews on the books that you have read. So in my case, the first book that I was able to review in my Instagram account was, ano ulit yun? The Zombie Survival Guide by Max Brooks. Yeah. So since I am fond of zombies and adventures and such, I first read that book, The Zombie Survival Guide by Max Brooks, and I have given a book review for it. So basically, that would be your reason to start as a bookstagrammer is to post about book reviews. The number two, personal stuff. So for me, I post my personal things about myself in my bookstagram na parang why did I choose counseling as my profession, why is my undergrad degree psychology, and I relate them to books. Okay? The number three, thoughts or opinions on social events. So I was also able to share in my page some my own commentaries about social events. Like halimbawa, yung Pride March for the LGBT, and then ayun, last few months ago, I also posted my own comments on the Suicide Prevention Month. Okay, nagbigay din ako ng comments ko for that month. And then, I also posted, I got quotes from my books na binabasa ko. And then from those quotes, what learning can we get? How can we relate those quotes to our own lives? Okay? So, and anything about books. So, as a bookstagrammer, you have your freedom to post anything about books. And syempre, you will post, again, coming from your reason on blogging. So again, for my case, I want to be an advocate for mental health. So I relate my book posts to mental health most of the time. Okay, next, what are your book genres? So syempre, your bookstagram will revolve around the kinds of books that you have. So romance, poetry, adventure, thriller, crime, sci-fi, and other kinds of book genres. So with that, let us now go to menti.com and I want to have the genre of the participants here in the webinar. So go to the www.menti.com and use the code 3673900. What is your preferred book genre? And so let us now to get to know each other better by identifying in our group right now what are the most commonly preferred book genre. So philosophy, we have one answer already, fantasy. So sige, I would answer also. Okay, so if you are familiar with menti.com, if the words are getting bigger, ibig sabihin, a number of people answer the same answer. So in our case, most of the readers here are leaning towards mystery. Yeah, so the same tayo. Ako din, I have a growing interest right now in mystery. Yan, naging fantasy na. So most of us here ay naging fantasy. So for in my case, I would answer siguro mystery din. Kasi yun ang nagiging interest ko right now. Okay. Yeah, so we have a diverse preferences. That's very good. So let's have them one by one. Mystery, fantasy, nonfiction, sci-fi, speculative fiction, very good. Mystery, crime, classics, philosophy, horror, fiction, magic, realism, adventure, melodrama, and some others. Right? So in our group right now, we have the top three genres such as mystery, fantasy, and adventure. So very good. Thank you for your responses. So in my case, my book genres are the following. So syempre, since this is my profession, most of my books here are about psychology, self-help, guidance and counseling. So reasons such as number one, I read books just to have other perspectives of counseling my students. And then at the same time, since I am still under my MA for counseling, syempre kailangan ko magbasa for my MA. And then self-help books, parang syempre, in my own personal life, I also have some questions about myself. So I read self-help books to discover more things about myself. Next, mythology. So I have also an interest in mythology. Meron ako dito, ayan, Percy Jackson series, mythology by Edith Hamilton. Tapos Norse mythology by Neil Gaiman. Yan. So far, yun pa lang yung books ko on mythology. Why? Kasi, wala lang, parang it really interests me about the stories on Roman and Greek mythology. So, I'm really amazed by those stories. Next, mystery, crime, thriller. So, I also have here, yan. As you see in the screen, I have this set of Agatha Christie books. And then, meron din ako dito Gone Girl kasi meron na siyang Netflix movie. So, naging interested din ako sa kanya. Tapos, ano pa ba yung mystery ko dito? Hindi ko na maalala sa dami. Pero yun. The next, young adult novels. So, Crazy Rich Asians trilogy. Then To All the Boys. Tapos, What If It's Us? Then They Both Die at the End. Tapos meron pa akong by David Levitan, Every Day Another Day, Someday. And then, zombie-related books yan. Like what I told you a while ago, these were the first books that I've read kasi talagang mas nagugustuhan ko ang stories about zombies. Yeah, so as of now, I only have four zombie books for the meantime. And then history books, I have the Da Vinci Code, tapos yan, Sapiens, A Brief History of Humankind. So far, those are my interests of book genres for now. Okay, next. So, syempre, since we are reading books, so dami ng mga binabasa natin, and unconsciously, we might be able to not be aware na meron pala siyang benefits, no? Or maybe some of us, parang we observe na after reading some books, we sometimes observe na we get to improve in some things. So just to refresh our minds the benefits of reading, here are the benefits. So it strengthens our brain. So syempre, it improves your cognitive abilities. It increases our ability to empathize. Kasi diba, in reading books, we get to understand different stories of our characters sa mga binabasa natin. So at some point, we get to be in their shoes, in the stories that we read, in the stories that we read in the books that we have been reading. Okay? So builds your vocabulary and knowledge. So in my case, parang napansin ko na whenever I write emails for you, if you have any concerns, whenever I talk to students during counseling, parang napapansin ko na I am getting better in talking, no, in my written and verbal communication skills. And then helps prevent age-related cognitive decline. So upon with the research na nabasa ko kanina, parang according to those research, if you are reading, then you get to read when you get to be an adult, parang it helps your memory and cognitive functioning. And of course, it reduces your stress kasi you get to deviate from your usual stuff like school, work, ganyan. And you have another way to relieve your stress. And then lastly, helps alleviate depressive symptoms. So I have friends na they experience depressive symptoms during this quarantine period. And then when I suggested to them na try to read books, kahit yung mga self-help lang, yun, natuwa naman ako na nakatulong sa kanila yung pagbabasa ng libro as to go about with our situation right now. So with that, siguro no, I hope we won't stop reading kasi reading will really help us a lot. Okay? Then next, so the process of posting books, and this is one of the most exciting part. So how are we going to post with our pictures sa Instagram? So identify a theme for your feed. So I will be presenting to you some of the users that I follow and ano yung mga napapansin ko doon sa mga posts nila. So for example, in this Filipino Books or Grammars is Joji and Books, ang common theme ng feed niya ay color pink. And then she usually use flowers. And then basically that's it. And then a backdrop na fur-ish na material na color pink din. So that for me is a way of identifying na what are the props around our home that we can use for our creative posts in our Bookstagram. Another user, si MZ0_07, his feed is color, playing in the colors violet, blue, ganyan. And then, mostly, ano din, may mga plants din. Ayan, kay Nessie Tryhard02, so nakachat ko siya for some time, and for her, she is a diehard fan of the Twilight Saga. Okay? And ang theme na kanyang feed ay edits. Mostly edits by photo editing apps. And then, ang theme ng kanyang feed ay may clouds, stars, tapos anything sparkling. Yan, yun yung kanyang theme. So, for book_gobbler, ang kanyang theme naman ay school supplies. Ruler, notepads, bookmarks, ganyan. So it's really up to you on how you're going to be creative in identifying the props that you will use in your posts. And then, ayan. So kay Spooky, that octopus na user, for me, parang I was able to get the idea na ang kanyang mga books ay all about horror. So when I visited her account, ayan. So very, very dark yung kanyang theme. So may mga skeleton, candles, tapos ang editing ng kanyang posts ay medyo black, yan, medyo dark talaga. So talaga, she is really reflecting on her name and her book genres. And as for myself, yeah, as I was starting my feed, I don't really know on how to start. Kasi parang ang hirap maghanap ng props. It's hard to think about how can I be creative, no? How can I be more aesthetically in my posts. So, ito yung mga initial posts ko on my Instagram Instagram feed. But as I went on looking into different users, as I think about ano yung mga pwede kong magamit na props or editing apps, then eventually I was able to find my niche on my theme for my feed. So, ayan. So, as you can see, I am also using photo editing apps. And then, I started to use props at home. Kahit yung mga minimal props. Yun yung medyo problem ko until now. Parang until now, I don't have any more aesthetically pleasing na props at my things right now. So, right now, I first rely muna on photo editing apps. And I rely on I even created a backdrop na I got pages ng magazines. So, pinagtagpi-tagpi ko yung mga magazine pages, hindi ko na binabasa. And yun, nagkaroon ako ng background for my feed sa Instagram ko. Okay? So, aside from identifying what you will use for your posts, also exhaust na the features of your chosen platform. So aside from your feed, aside from your IG stories, also use the highlights. Kasi whenever readers visit your Instagram, your Bookstagram, they will also see your highlights. So for example, in this reader, her highlights include book reviews, ayan, about cats, kasi she is a cat person, templates for IG story quizzes, and all about herself, about me. And then for this next user, her highlights include book mails, book shopping, unboxing of her book mails, and book reviews then. For myself, for my Instagram highlights, for now, I am using life quotes, book haul, and interactions. For life quotes, parang in my books kasi I highlight those quotes that struck me the most. So with that, I grab a picture of that quote, and then pinupost ko siya sa IG story ko. Kasi parang for me, that would reflect on myself as a person. And then book haul, I also post in my IG stories the book mails na dumarating every time I buy books online, ganyan. And interaction. So fortunately, when I posted a book about Crazy Rich Asians, natuwa ako kasi nilike yun ni Kevin Kwan himself. Yan, so that was a big fun boying moment for me na nilike ni Kevin Kwan yung posts ko about his book. Okay, so I also post that as my highlight kasi, yeah, highlight naman talaga for myself kasi napansin ako ng isang globally well-renowned na author. Okay, so in Instagram, we have a lot of features that we can use to increase our presence in Instagram. The next, syempre, post your pictures with creative photography and flat lay. So, with the things that you saw kanina doon sa different bookstagrammers, that's what you call flat lay. So, flat lay is just simply a way of being aesthetically inclined with your posts in your own bookstagram. So, it's a bird's eye view of your posts and showcasing your creativity on creative photography. So here are some examples of flat laying. So yeah, so for this user, she was able to use herself then as part of her flat lay. And then I think different coffee mixtures. So, ginawa niya parang clock. And then hinigaan niya din yung mga books niya. Okay? Then yeah, for the next picture, She was creative in using her glasses, then the book page. Other examples of flat laying and creative photography. Yeah. So you can also use all kinds of stuff at home. Your coffee, your laptop, your cell phones, even kung ano yung kinakain niya of the moment, ganyan. And other kinds of examples of flat laying. Yeah. So again, for myself, I am using my books and photo editing apps to edit my flat lays. So for the second picture, if you're going to zoom in, yan, ano yan, magazine page yan. Pinagtagpi-tagpi ko yung magazine na hindi ko na binabasa just to use for my Bookstagram posts. Ayan. So again, photo editing apps just to enhance my flat lays and Instagram posts for my Bookstagram. Alright. And then next, for this one, I just want to share na pwede ka rin mag-animate with your Instagram posts. So this is a page in the mythology book that I have here. Tapos in-animate ko lang siya using phone app. Later on, I will tell you what app that is. So, play ko na siya. Ayan. So, i-edit ko siya na parang gumagalaw yung wave tapos yung hair mismo ni Poseidon. Ayan. So, I use an app that can be more animated like that. Ayan. So, ito yung mga apps na ginagamit ko so far. So, Lumi, Snapseed, PixArt, and Motion Leap. So, Motion Leap, yun yung app na ginamit ko for me to inanimate the waves ng books, ng mythology book na nakita nyo kanina. So, for the meantime, I am using the basic features of these photo editing apps. But, if you have the budget to pay for the pro version, syempre, mas marami kayong features na pwedeng magamit in using these photo editing apps. Okay? So those are the ways to post your Instagram posts in your Bookstagram. So right now, syempre, another part of having a book blog is of course engaging to the community. So blogging is a community. So in this way, I will share to you what I did to increase my followers. Kasi right now, so far, I have 2,282 followers in my Bookstagram. So ano ba yung mga ginawa ko para mag-increase ng followers and to meet fellow Bookstagrammers out there? So I joined Facebook groups and other related groups to books. So far, here are the books that I've joined. So hashtag Bookstagram, Bookstagram and Book Group, Bookstagram Pod PH, and then Secondhand Books Philippines, where I also buy secondhand books na pwede pang mabasa, and then Bookworm Corner at Fully Book. So in these Facebook groups, I get inspiration in posting. I also get to read the book reviews of other book readers kasi also part of our Bookstagram is what book to read next, di ba? And with these groups, I discover books na pwede ko pang mabasa and eventually I buy them kung saan, yeah, parang I get the assurance na maganda nga yung books na pinasa nila coming from their book reviews. And then next, how to increase followers. Join, follow, train, or SFS, or shout out for shout out IG posts. So ito naman, syempre, if you're going to start your own Bookstagram, you will be really proactive on looking for posts like these. So it's like you will read the follow, train, and SFS posts for the rules on how to increase your followers. Okay, so it's like parang chain lang siya. Parang chain following lahat ng mga Bookstagrammers na nasa follow, train, or SFS post na ito. So you will be just really proactive on searching for these kinds of posts for you to increase your followers. And then next, follow, train, or SFS posts are also found in your DMs. So parang as you are going on in the process of increasing your followers, you will be surprised na other bookstagrammers globally will randomly message you for these kinds of chain messages for a follow train or SFS IG post via DMs. Ayan. So you will just read the rules and follow them, syempre. And one day, magulat ka na lang na nag increase na pala yung followers mo in your Bookstagram. Okay, another way is join and like tag posts in book engagement IG groups. So, before when I was starting my Bookstagram, ang sinalihan ko lang muna ay itong mga follow train posts na yan and yung mga Facebook groups about books. Nung parang for me, parang sa isip-isip ko, parang ba't ang hirap mag-increase ng followers in Instagram? Yun pala, there is also another way, which is joining engagement IG groups. So in this most recent post that I have 8 engagement IG groups that I joined that helped me to increase my followers to the number of followers that I have right now. Okay, so in this way, in this engagement IG groups, you will just visit their page, go to their tag posts, and like the tag post in 24 hours. So to have a more example about it, ito yung screen recording na ginawa ko. So just watch doon sa screen record ko kung ano yung ginawa ko dito sa mga klaseng engagement IG groups na meron. Okay? Ayan. So first, titignan ko muna yung mga fina-follow ko na IG groups. And then finalo ko yung, ayan, so tingnan muna natin. Ayan, so I pressed one engagement group, then check the tag posts, and then you will have to spend a few minutes to like all the posts for 24-hour posts. Yan. So yan yung ginagawa ko everyday na for my 8 engagement IG groups, I spend around 15 to 30 minutes to be committed on liking these posts. Why? Kasi the reason behind that, ito yung paraan ng mga groups to increase the followers and to engage with other kinds of bookstagrammers all around the world. So if you will research on it further, you will encounter engagement groups na ang dami-dami nilang demands doon sa groups nila. But for me, I was able to be fortunate enough to find engagement groups na ang minimum rules lang ay just to like the tag posts for 24 hours. Yon. So parang in Instagram, parang as I analyze it further, parang this is their way of increasing your followers, number one, to interact with fellow bookstagrammers worldwide. And number two, syempre, to be inspired on the posts of other bookstagrammers out there. Okay? So it might be exhaustive, pero if you will be really committed to be a book blogger in Instagram, then you need to follow these kinds of ways to engage with other bookstagrammers in Instagram. Okay? And then next, include hashtags in your IG posts. So these hashtags will help you to interact with other readers. Kasi diba, syempre, as part of looking into Instagram, some users search via these hashtags to engage with other people. So ito yung mga nakita kong hashtags na maraming gumagamit. Kaya I was able to increase my followers into 2,000 plus. Okay? So I am also using these hashtags to get inspiration on how would I be able to improve my flat lays in my posts sa Instagram ko. Okay? And also, ginagamit ko itong hashtags na to to search for what kind of books na pwede ko bang mabasa that can add up to my own library here at home. Then, to know more about your interaction, you can press the insights button doon sa Instagram post ninyo para makita ninyo ilan nga ba yung mga taong nagbabasa at tumitingin ng inyong IG page. So in this particular post, parang I was able to reach around 1,157 bookstagrammers. Okay? So among them, 883 liked the certain post, 6 bookstagrammers commented, and then one user posted that in his or her IG story, and 24 users saved it as part of their collection. So yun yung nakita ninyong four logos dun sa upper part ng first picture na nakita ninyo. So yung heart, yung speech bubble, yung parang send button ba yan, and the ribbon. So yun siya. And then impression, 1,414 users were able to visit my account. Yan, so from my profile, from home, from hashtags, and from other ways of visiting my posts. Okay? And then, yeah, so those are some of the challenging processes that you can undergo if you are starting your own book blog. Then lastly, challenges. So if you are starting book blogger, what could be your expected challenges along the way? So syempre, having a reading slump and a writer's block. In my case, during this pandemic, from the past months, I had a hard time of reading and finishing my books. Kasi yun nga, with the pandemic that we have right now, and to be honest, it's taking a toll on my mental health. Kaya I wasn't able to really focus myself on reading. Kaya I was able to be in hiatus for a few months. So hindi ako naging active for a few months. Writer's block, after reading a book, syempre you would feel overwhelmed on reading those books. And syempre you would feel na ang hirap magsulat. It's hard to gather your thoughts after reading a book. So it's really up to you on how or as to when are you going to be ready on going back again and reading and writing for your blog. Then what book to read? So with the overwhelming number of books, di ba, magugulat ka na lang na ang dami ko na pala na ba yung libro, ano ba yung una kong pwedeng mabasa? Di ba? So it's really a challenge for you to choose among your pile na ano yung pwede kong basahin. Okay, so having books included in your hashtag TBR and DNF piles. TBR, to be read pile, to be read, and DNF did not finish. So if you will observe in your fellow bookstagrammers in Instagram, you will encounter these hashtags then. Okay, so to be read pile, so again with the overwhelming number of books, what will you do with those? And DNF or did not finish, are you still going to finish those books or not? Okay. And then lastly, commitment in maintaining your blog. So having your own blog is exciting kasi you will be posting your flat lays, ganyan. You will share your knowledge to other people. Pero for how long are you going to do this? Is it because with your passion in reading books? Is it because just only of sharing your thoughts to other people? Or you want to earn from being a book blogger? So ask yourself, until when are you going to be a blogger in your chosen social media platform? All right. So thank you everyone. I hope I was able to share with you my other persona as a person. And yeah, if you have time, you can follow my IG page. That is the Bookish Counselor. And on my Facebook page then with the same name. All right. So thank you everyone for listening, and I hope this ignited your interest to have your own book blog.
Thank you so much, Sir Matt, for that very informative talk. Now we would like to invite again our speaker for the question and answer portion. Kindly use the raise hand button to be called to ask your questions for our speakers. Or you may also send in your questions to the chat box. Please type your questions in all capital letters so it can be easily recognized.
All right. So we have a question from Miss Amber. Do you think it's important to read fast, both as a book blogger and in general? All right. So in my experience, parang sometimes it's pressuring. Kasi if you have your own book blog, then your followers would expect something from you. Alright? So, parang for me, it's really up to you on ano ba talaga yung gusto mo mangyari sa book blog mo. Okay? For me, it's not about reading fast, but it's on the learning and the understanding that you are getting on reading books. Okay? So, for me, ang mas importante ay your learning and your knowledge reading books kesa sa on the speed no on reading. If you are a fast reader and if you learn something from your book, that's okay. But if you are a reader na you take time in reading, that's also okay. Alright? It's just that it's up to you on how are you going to really make use of the book that you have read and the learning from upon reading that book. Okay? So here's a question from Martin. What is the best and worst books you've ever read? So, for me, ang pinaka sa at the moment the best talaga is the book by Mark Manson, which is The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Blank. Okay, alam niyo na yung next word after doon. So kasi parang for me, Mark Manson was able to write it in a way na very relatable, very simple, and in that book, parang for me, Mark Manson was able to share his experiences. And from those experiences, ano yung nakuha niya, and ano yung pwede niyang i-share sa mga readers niya. And it's not a doubt as to why that book was the number one for quite a few months. Yun. So, for me, I don't know if nabasa niyo yung book na yun, pero I was able to relate the most in that book. So, what is the worst so far? Well, ngayon, as I would say, wala pa naman. Kasi parang I am still on the journey of getting to know authors out there. Okay? Next, second best book would be the Percy Jackson series. Kasi parang for me, um, Rick Riordan was able to write it in a very witty manner, no? Ang galing niyang magsulat in a very metaphorical way. Okay? Tapos, parang it's young. Parang for me, ang dating ng book ay napaka-young niya. So parang for me, hindi siya applicable sa age ko. Pero I was able to enjoy it naman. So for me, parang yung Percy Jackson series ni Rick Riordan ay for young teenagers like you. So in your case, Bao, were you able to read the PGO series? And for you, was it also good or not? So I want to to know your thoughts in our chat box. Okay? Yeah. So question from Mizari, one of our counselors, very personal but very curious. During the conceptualization phase of your bookstagram, have you ever thought of becoming a full-time book blogger? Um, funny answer pero as long as meron akong libro, I won't stop being a book blogger. Yon. Kasi parang for me, I am banking on my reason na I am advocating for mental health. And me being a book blogger, I want to use that platform to share to other people na mental health is really a serious matter for everyone. So for me, parang being a book blogger, I am able to combine my profession and my passion into one platform. And that is the Bookish Counselor PH. So far, parang, as I would say, I was able naman to be effective kasi whenever I post on my Bookstagram about mental health, some Bookstagrammers also post their comments and their realizations from my posts. So parang for me na, somehow with my small little ways of reading and giving my book reviews, I was able naman to touch lives of some people out there. So I hope no, in your case, if you're going to start your own book blog, I hope you would be going the extra mile na you will have a book blog on not only sharing your thoughts, but also really identifying your deeper purpose of having your own book blog. Okay? So, siguro you might be get weird-ish na on my approach. Pero, well, that's for me. Kasi yung approach ko, na my approach is experiential and personal na yun talaga yung gusto kong mangyari sa book blog ko. And with you, students, no, with this presentation, I hope you would also be able to identify your own reason and purpose of having your own book blog. And I am sure naman na you would be really effective on having your own bookstagram or book blog. Okay? I guess you are wondering, Sir Matt, kikita ka po ba sa pagiging isang book blog? Okay, so, I well, siguro, depends on the platform that you will use. Kasi number one, syempre, during these times, what platform yung pinakamadaling kumita ng pera? I would say YouTube. Diba, for YouTube, when you reach a certain number of subscribers, you will be monetized already. Am I right? And as you increase your subscribers, parang ang dating sa akin, you will also increase the earnings na makakaroon kayo. But on a general sense, on any kind of platform, on any kind of blog, you will earn money, number one, if you will have commissions. No? If publishers or authors will ask for your professional service, then that's the time na pwede kayong kumita sa book blog. Kasi parang they are paying for your services eh. Na parang they are, for example, if I will be an author, I would tap you to be my book reviewer. Then after reviewing, I will give you a certain amount. That's one way. Then number two, yeah, tama yung sabi ni Ma'am Amber na you will earn by endorsements or ads. So if bookstores, if online bookstores, if publishers would see na you are really visible in Instagram, then that's the time na pwede ka nilang itap for their advertisements. Diba? As the same concept sa YouTube, di ba ang daming ads sa kalagitnaan ng YouTube videos. So it's similar din sa Instagram na if certain companies would hire you as their endorser, then that's the time you can earn money.
So again, thank you everyone. Thank you for attending.